Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in tonight. My name is Dallas Ellsworth with Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Board. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, November, and tonight for our radio forum, we're going to be discussing how COVID-19 impacts diabetes management. I'm here with a panel from our pharmacy department, our nutrition therapy department, as well as our diabetes management, our diabetes education program as well. I'm also here with my co-host, Mr. Roy Dempsey, who will be translating for us. Also, if you are participating in FDIHB's virtual challenge, stay tuned. We'll be giving out that challenge code for you tonight. Remember, the virtual challenge is a challenge where you can log in physical activity, but we'll also be dropping these challenge codes. One will be during this radio program. A couple will be on a weekend newspaper article. And if you collect all the codes, you can submit it. The sign up is on our Facebook page. If you have any questions, the contact information is there as well.
Ja, sinclado kodo tsahoso ze ahal endo eya mikhnada hanilna di angiko ako panahat ino leligi edi de kosen sanas dates ata hanengi ada onda ashinklakan ain't engi halait o ya ahidet do halait o ya pansa keso lela no shin ekodon kitkhana do lela ko ado kodon kha istegi edi de as da nihido bindan nishigi la kodot kha ado onda da chian cho inge betraya hot epenige cho inge edo kodotla atrata satta ado onda di shin kan ent inge bindan nishta kuichen de ingi edo la kodot khasata ko ado onda di kodot ya virtual challenge will yego da yilla di konal kidigi bigeto adon da di besh behenanat agit agida di agi bigeto di ad kehot ido na khad kodo lato ashin lakan ingi binan nesto adon da boho ato binan kinishin kodo hajon kilchut ato leko di be hozengi code isne lato bedet ko shin aslahajil in ko shin obihit ko hashin di kodo bol kanto lelti in angi adon da di ko nalso sezemenalso shin la biget do lelti the more yajiko.
Thank you, Roy. Before we kind of dive into our tonight's forum, I want to give some facility updates regarding Untitled Medical Center. I want to start with just the hours of operation. Currently, our main entrance is open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Any access after 5 p.m., please use the emergency entrance. And the main entrance is closed on Saturday and Sunday. Please use emergency entrance if you have to get into the hospital for like pharmacy refill. Speaking of pharmacy refill hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then on Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, on the weekends, please use emergency entrance to gain access to pharmacy. Our laboratory hours, if you have to come in for labs, is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then it's open Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. With the holidays coming up, the holiday hours are 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as well. And of course, our emergency department is open 24/7. As far as outpatient clinics, please call the clinic for hours and for any scheduling and for the scheduling processes.
Akadik akot ahagibanina to on later yahanat tahagit on the data conduct okaben kilwil net or lishtinigi. Igisia at Hinigi eha, I think I had Hinigi. The mob is condoned the initiation, so that the need only a strategy could ego at Ela. Nana aho a slado, no what you go at Skinland, and that il de at anchor. The more Yajido, the more go that el Kala, co Skinland, and the Adango de hot. Nana D is a Nihigido, is a Bakada Hanta Jahagi. The mob is condoned the initial state dot teenager aunt. The more yajdo, the more go enhast dot hardage. Ado in the little angel do Ada the more bis kandon da inische na sus the do snid ol kelo bengo ein le aho hast khade edan del kral nana the more yajudo the more go ein hast ediga anal it asahade sn age Ado und da alle abada hat igen gehat aho ein hast ediga anal I asahade sn age ko Ado skinklo dan engi ayos kral kido o askicho engi joid kota edo dan del kral he kha edigi Ado alle ben yade shalto shet nol in jinzen go patient at be ehosen ko hojel neto adon da kha dan indo adon da kha ya khuido atligi bik ehot ke khon angide kholis channel
Currently, TMC clinics are not accepting walk-ins. Patients are encouraged to call the clinic to schedule an appointment due to the clinics having different scheduling processes. The different types of visits are primarily telehealth, meaning that your appointment will be conducted over a phone call. If through that phone call your provider feels like you need to be seen in person, that will be scheduled. Clinics are working to create more opportunities for you to connect with your provider through telehealth for a variety of appointments. As if you have a telehealth appointment, please make sure that you have good cell phone signal or landline, a private location in your home or even in your vehicle, and a dedicated time not to be disturbed.
Akadi kwa the question sana states at yego ya bajal den giben in ado khan hasani bring na di atsa hojel na koja as a hal enje hojel na should not in jinzen go koto belkhal jish kad adon data as a hadel in yak ad haj hal na koto yen dal nishtazni an le hugan de just dahate akoko haj na ni na go asatije do khaho age dai chida bi ye johot hajo as a hel en belkhel hajdal ne ben yakot ya kuina sendo le na adon da besh be hanado behazen gonjun go dit sado be yat higi kot do yan khaina seno johot hel kha ne jaha do ya di kon as a bein kha hiyangi hal engi je kot do le gilna.
If you are coming to our facility, just a couple of policies regarding visitors. For outpatient clinics, we want individuals to come by themselves. If you require a parent or a guardian or a support person, we want you to limit that to one person. So, for example, if you have a child that needs to be seen in peds, we would like you to just bring the child only and yourself, and not any additional children. This is for your safety. And for social distancing. For inpatient wards, we are currently allowing 2 parents, guardians, or support persons per patient. We are limiting visits to 2 hours per day. For COVID-19 positive patients and any end-of-life visitations, we want you to call the inpatient ward for more details regarding that. If you do, unfortunately, have to come to the emergency department, we are allowing 1 parent, guardian, or support person to accompany the patient. Of course, these are subject to change at any time with just where we are with the pandemic.
Akadi kwa as a ahint en ba de shot edo dai da should not in ben yenoso kwa no yago alchendo akhishi belish kato legends on edo be has under done akhwe asaho yahjo gasto khut no in sto khat ol nil nana akhit oda la khaliyago edo dai da alchin yajda bamado bejad akhishin bolt kha asago de khut obel yahjo ashakho ako benina beta akhliado beta akonotsen nida ko adon data di kwa asa ajna halo yahjagato che il tehgi jo outpatient ilne ADG go be has ani jo khut o eliagi benina AD khast keto adon da konas nigi do go be has ngi benina als an al tehgi do anhit khona ango tchado chani that ningi eight aige sebe na anish koja.
And just to wrap things up regarding our facility updates, we have discontinued our nurse hotline, our COVID nurse hotline. We are redirecting and would like you to call the Navajo Nation COVID hotline at 928-871-7014. In addition to that, our mental health hotline is operational, and the Navajo Nation Mental Health Helpline is also available at 505-368-1438 or 1467. Any other additional information like our flu shots or COVID testing, you can find out that information on our website, fdihb.org, or follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also hear more information on this radio station at KTNN and other radio stations in the area.
Ako di kuda the kusan sana states da nasniha da desniha da ad azayne kahat ayol kahlot aw ali bichahanna skinla bichahanna da kon de hat zahigi jo ya nurse hotline ya COVID-19 de ya di kuja sahot sablas anje ya in kulliya akon de akhit ahada be I say akhir bichende is na so Navajo Nation COVID hotline will yego 928-871-7016 joy aja hujdolne nana dida kuja on sick case because aja aha ishin benina han sick case gi do khot do aja nadan lido dida agi jo bej yatki mental health aja Akoko never Washington because unge 505-368-1438 cut ego ya bitcha hanako di hotso ze al injured adigi ati be on the shallow.
And if you're listening and you aren't in the Fort Defiance service area, a good source of information is the Navajo Nation Department of Health website. You can go there and they have all the latest information for your specific service area.
Navajo Nation www.ndoh.navajo/nsn.gov COVID-19 kotego AAP BJD to ishi benaidish kilto shilpehado zinchins and gate abaka ado beshbehna get at hagi da do khebich hdo zihigi eta tsbi hollo.
Thank you, Roy. All right, it is November. It's hard to believe that it's November already, and the year has really flown by. With November, it comes Diabetes Awareness Month, and this forum is dedicated to how COVID-19 impacts diabetes management. Like I mentioned before, we're joined with the panel, so I just want to go around and let everybody introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Lieutenant Oluwabukola Akinshiku. I am a pharmacist at the hospital. I'm also an officer with the Commission Corps Public Health Service.
Hi, I'm Don Novotny. I'm a nurse, registered, certified diabetes educator. I've been doing this for about 30 years. I have type 1 diabetes too, and I've had diabetes since 1978. I'm here to help you.
Hello, I'm Emmeline Thompson. I'm the Diabetes Program Supervisor Coordinator, and I've been here about 2 years now.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Danae Bex. I am an outpatient registered dietitian. I'm originally from Cottonwood, Salina Springs area, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Glad you all are here. So, it's a new world for us, and with this current pandemic, with November being Diabetes Awareness Month, we want to discuss how people with diabetes can navigate these days successfully. Diabetes management thrives on structure and routine. However, with the pandemic, it's turned everything upside down and everybody's structure and routine upside down. Our lifestyle is no longer the same on a number of levels. This introduces even greater challenges for people with diabetes. So this forum, we want to discuss, one, how COVID-19 impacts diabetes management, and also provide some resources to build some new structures and routines. And we're going to try and stick within these categories of just how to healthily cope, help solve some problems, and what is the role of medication in diabetes management. I'll let Roy translate that.
أكديك أدي زتلقي نلش أتصل بإزتلقه قاد نخها بنهال جشجيتي أشين لكان إنج أي أي با كوينزن دولتو أرو بايات كده أهو أهلنجي أي بان بنيه دي لزتلي نال إنكو أكويان ديك أديشين أي يا أي أنا هدت أنا هلون كيلخو أجيدي دكوسن ساناس إذا تهبنينا إنا إلها أصله نهتان لها أتصاد أنلي هوغن دسيتارو أدو نانشتو إيشين إل إنت أصله أخانان تخاتو خانات تاتو تيدات إيا نخانان تلاسلين كوكودي كجه أشين لكان إنت إنجيدو جو إيدو بي آهيانا دو تات أو تالك دو أخا أشين بن ينجغادو أدو نهودا تخنجت داتو تخنجت لوتو إيشين بيتا أخو جليانا جو إيان دنان تلاسلين كو أكو خاليت أي دي ده بكي آدو ليل جهت أكو كدوشين أي ديت إيدو ليل آدو أند دخيت أي يا بانسوخ كيستو ليل دو آدو أند دخيت تا خيانجي أي تكويغو شين الآد أنهيج إيشجان أدول نيل أكو أي يا آشين أي تكسكوت أيدو ليل.
So Don, you mentioned that you're a person with diabetes since 1978. So what do we mean by diabetes management? What does that generally look like before the pandemic happened?
Well, before the pandemic happened, what we're ultimately trying to do is have patients attain a normal glucose. Glucose is the simplest sugar. Our body stores glucose in the liver, and when it's needed, the liver releases it. Carbohydrates are found in anything that grows. Maybe not peanuts, maybe not avocados, but our wheat turns into flour, and we have fruits and vegetables. People used to be able to go out and just get these items. And today, you have to have grandma is staying at home with the children, and a daughter or even a granddaughter is going out to the store and buying foods that may not be in grandma's best health choices for diabetes.
أكوكا ديكودو نبدأ كدان وليا أكوكا يا دي أشين لكان إنجي أجبنا نشيسن نانتيندو أدون نكا نلوكو جو نو يا 1978 يا دا وشتا شيل توكت be شانتاهو أنا دي شين لكان بناتشان أكوكو أكو نبجدل كد نغيران شيء خيت إيجو بيتا خيان ده أتودي ده تكوسن ساناس إذا تهيلني هدا Joko no eta ya ata khanya ge eto nan tladande ne akoko di ashin lekhan bedent energy jo ya iges ashin lekhan al kiligi ya alla hage tadel ked go do ata has ange tadel ked go joko to beta khanya ne akoko ada andata aha ishi le ashin lekhanigi 18 le hazat be gona أكن بنو إيش أدون دشين هت سيسكي يكيدو هت تلبيجنا يشنيها جوكت أو إنجن جو ينال نش أصلا هاي سلكيدو تو أنت هس أني تو يا هنات إنتو تو تاي جسوت تهنا كده جهت أو كه أدون دتا دي كدو أكان جو دات أهجيدا يا carbohydrates إثنتي دات أهجيدا شين يا بهذا نقول كده بهجيل آخر أكون غيره أو لي آخر شيء نالجها بها غنودا جغاتو آخر أن لي جيان دا إنكون جغاها تدا خيات هجي خل بهذا أو بكن جغان ده جك أديت لها أتزا أكو دي ده نهي شيء نهي مسان دا كت أو أشين لكن بنت إيجا أكون ده جو هو غندش ده صوته أدو كنقول نخابت نه آخرشين أصلا نخالشن دني آخرشين هتسو كده دي أصلا قلنا نو جوكو أكو كو ناليه باغا إيغاكو دي ده نبان تهز أنجي جيان شيول إيدو بيات ده هجاب البهز نو إيشينا يلا هلون جيت نهت لا تتبع أتات تنتجيان بأونت له يادات هاتشون إنجي كا بنينا كا هتسيس بقى جليان ده هتسنا الكديجي بقى جليان جو تو هازين تايله ندي جيان أستخهجي بنينا جو.
Emmy, can you add on to that once? What is diabetes management? What has that generally looked like before the pandemic? And then, diabetes is such a big, broad subject, but if you can kind of just give us maybe the three main types of diabetes.
The three main types of diabetes that we know of and we let everybody know about is type 1 diabetes. And type 1 is when you don't have enough insulin or what they call insulin resistance. Your body is not. And then type 1 diabetes is when you don't have insulin at all. Type 2 is when you have insulin resistance and your body is not making enough insulin. And then the third is gestational diabetes. And that is only when you get it when you're pregnant. And that there's a test that's usually done between 24 and 28 weeks. How do we know people are managing diabetes is by the golden number that we call A1C. Most people we want, we recommend for them to be under 7% generally. But overall, if it's over 8%, then we say that's unmanaged diabetes. And there are a lot of factors that play with that. And right now, what we're covering is medication, healthy coping, and problem solving.
كده نابدأ كديدة أشين لكن ناس كديجي لخيت إيجا بيتا خيارو أردو أنتاس أنجس الكدجا ألزن يا أكاكا كندا إيجسيجي يا ديت خاص أنت أباهن باهلنا بجريني لكا أكاكا ديت خاص أنت أهجي type 1 واليا ديجي دي أشين لكن ديجي دو هتسيستو إيش إيدا أكاكا هتسيستن لينكا أكا يجا أنتاس أنجيت إيشين بنا دي إنسولين واليا هجي إيشين لكن نات ليجيت إيشين بثلاثة أنجت ستة أكل نانا كنا جي type 2 إيدت أكت دي ده أشين لكن جي do hajo hats is chuyol in dai le ko ko khala shin le kan git up on hat den benina hats is do shin le kan yenal nishtai le ko joket o ya anta has alto nana sa ya gestational diabetes will yana AAD de nihila to nihimada kon de away be haleko akon le natin se binde zet khashin bel khol jishko jokat o ya ashin lekan anta has angebent in hako akoko ebenina kot o khas ant o ya behozen got dene bebe dent enjoyt o ba hajot ziko akabenal khagi de di hatlnal inko hashin klan khangi ashin lekhan al kidigi jo tos dot isbi rako hatsis betrako has tos dot jo yago na al kidgo jo da bohanet za khage jne adot belata se bidot isdot dago etel hat ego 8% ya se bidot jingi shi adot dago del kigo jo kut o ai gesa atcha do kwahasen da se als gesehen hat is betrachtet la hayil in ko akondet o hayui ya beninanigi kholla beninada neido alla get out never da hidel neta ko benina di kwa ba hayage di beta hayangi ya azze jiltelto adon da di koden an tienjian cho energy hayat ehegi adon da hat is het o di ajel ego di shintle kangi do yego wata han al kido do waya handel kigon jil ya beta haya.
Thank you, Roy. And if you're just joining us, thank you. You're listening to the radio forum from Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Board. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, the month of November, and we're currently talking about how COVID-19 has impacted diabetes management. If you have any questions, feel free to text your questions to 928-871-4487. If you have any questions regarding diabetes management or diabetes in general, or how that even affects you in this current pandemic, we'd love to try to answer those questions.
Akadi kado hanagi KTNN do kwilna ko aja besh behna di besh behna khadaj hagi jon den khashta ADG text 871 4487 koja ya di kwa ba yel tigi to di kwa khaygi labch des hero da shichana ha do sin naide kid ne hallo dai ba des no sonda kon has thanda jo is jaila ko eben nai adam bchent o silti text message will yagi 928-871-4487 khato ya ben khaz anko.
So, like I said, diabetes is such a big topic, and you identified the three main types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, meaning that your body is not making any insulin. Type 2, meaning that your body is insulin resistant, or there's a decrease in insulin. And gestational diabetes, which is in pregnant women, which show up 24 to 28 weeks, correct? Okay. And Don, you said that diabetes management is really maintaining a good glucose level. Glucose coming from sugar, and sugar that comes in food. Our bodies were made to take food and make it into energy to power our organs, which this changing of sugar into energy is pretty natural. At what point does it kind of just go haywire and it becomes pretty dangerous to us?
Well, let's just talk about type 2 diabetes. A picture of a person that may have type 2 diabetes, They may have high blood pressure, overweight, a sedentary life cycle or a lifestyle. It could be the 45-year-old person that used to work hard in a warehouse, and now they're in management with stress, sitting at a computer, and sort of. Some people will say they have taxi cab disease because all they do is sit. The body can only produce so much insulin for a certain body size. Let's say 150 pounds for somebody that's 5'6". If you're 190, 220, your body may not produce enough insulin for that size. So in all of the diabetes we're not changing. We want healthy eating, physical activity. They may go on medications, and with these three, if I made a triangle, if the triangle is in balance, when a patient checks a glucose level by a finger stick, they will have a blood glucose that is near normal. Ultimately, a study from 1983 using the A1C test, if the A1Cs are greater than 9, 10, 11, and 12%, these patients in 6.5 years were suffering severe complications to the eyes, the kidneys, the nerves, and at 6.5 years, the study was stopped. They brought this group that was uncontrolled together with the controlled group. They got everybody below 8%, and they were studied for 14 more years. So our goal is to have that patient achieve normal glucose. There's a high percentage of Navajo that have diabetes. The glucose can be controlled. Physical activity, eating, and then we're going to talk about problem solving and coping and having a good outlook on life, a good attitude, having goals. I want to dance with my kids when they grow up.
Ako horodi ya hadnagi shintlakana kon nhika ya hon kind inigi type 2 diabetes olya nakhe shintlakana bayat kegi nakhet rosh shintlakana chidel di an hin hizdigi shintlakana do aro de danigi joibet an do shintlakana hallo ako het anad nishigi ya jodi halok agi bethogi ya yikana lo shintlakana le bechida dot in gole hada hidi higi do bensi de kesi do hije da de lotigi jo ya yenad shintlakana ako do bane kha do o da ita do jola bijo da hilyan bansi de kesi gidi benina bela hoda ita ado en za na holji jo et shintlakana hint helok agich etara ho betrogich is on jo shi ayu din hitel bige ile ho ana so etara ho ado anda benina hint in shintlakana ako di yalt ki ya le khushi na khaya da shi den ayu shintlakhan badent ole sabi do hota haden da alkijo A1C delningi ya di hatel shintlakhanin nas inat athan dazid halet hala na alkidan hidno jo ya hastha do ba ashla do tago ilkyo jo a khozel in bepo ye khol khalna shintlakhan neinst ila qad hodni ho jo ado khota et on this kashi ayudene ele kushina nakhego ndel khahoti bana khaido di jo da sa da no ben da nitkino je enjno la betligi jo nada da alkidazli ko et adi ya yalki haski
Hakashin o ko ishin benina dide the negans on akok betrachot ehege jo igese be yahol nihigi in lebetel na alkidigi nzad na alkidgo ado din schaz go sto ado unda do yo alla yana gad o satab nas na alkido do na ha khada gahagi jo digi kut o be behos na ko ako di lata do ehego na kwishin benacha ado nge nal nishte at abagan dot ajade kito na nishkon alla enta zida ne jato ahat o yen adon da nas betkhudel jiste bena nishgi lahat ya nal sos na jato nal sos akka ege ba khanya alla bohol hat al ko jadid ehegi da eben nache einal nasha betsat ahat ebets esigi lahat akoko ebenina da adan no johat o halna ako eshin benina diden hash jagido adon ha nas nisto naslana tahagido edi baba khoshiago edo do nilkon johat o shinki hagen kilkhalna.
Thank you, Roy. We have a couple questions coming in. One is pretty crucial. So it's, what are the symptoms of being diabetic?
Symptoms of diabetes would be high blood sugar symptoms, would be urinating frequently, wounds that are not healing, dehydration, excessive thirst, excessive hunger, blurry vision. So there's a lot of different symptoms, but those are the highlight, the primary symptoms that we see. And most times when you have high blood sugar, your body might be trying to manage itself and you might not see those symptoms. Sometimes symptoms are seen until it's very into the complication stages. So what we stress here is that we want everyone to be seen annually so that, you are up to date with your health, and we don't want people to wait until they feel the symptoms. So please come when you need to.
Akadida leda naide kid hashit o di shin lekhan atas angi halait o ya be ehzen khakint ko joko obe khahal jishko shin di da kha cheje tasla njet leshigi da kha alkha cheje tasla da ne ko nana ado ndeta di de ishi tlod khata hils erota da halla chi kishka da le jeta ko hada khweltas ko do khatanat zikle juda ne ka ado yo do the ba jenzenle kha ajanshi tkhojit land atin de hazay holt said na lenshinle ado ayego nas an ene to hajojo inda le halla to dal bak ehane halle dit o shin ya be ehozen adon da di ajan tasagi do hat is do khanal tas akot najan onlata haland ntrahnaz geist halni le di ado hoyan di de jets khazan dat ado hoyan hat is bahnal das akot inko dat hegi be najdel khato ado hat khata hat tlednjet lele akha shi beninada alla atski hanjet di hand hat khayana hat dide be hazen gishi be angel khato ele.
Thank you, Roy. So like we were saying with this, management looks different for each of these types of diabetes. One of the questions that we have is, what can someone do if they have pre-diabetes? And if you've had gestational diabetes, will you have diabetes later?
Thanks for the question. It's great. Pre-diabetes. What defines that? If we looked at it, just numbers, it would be an A1C of 5.7 to 6.4%. What does that mean? About 106 to 125. If on a fasting glucose coming into the hospital, and the doctor just does a random check on your glucose. At that point, you're referred to nutrition therapy, diabetes, to get education on being active and healthy eating. Will that turn into type 2 diabetes? Maybe. We're trying to do this as soon as possible in a person's life to get them active and healthy eating, and we may delay type 2 diabetes for 5, 6, 7 years, which improves the quality of life, the long life of an individual. Will it turn into type 2 diabetes if they turn into a sedentary lifestyle, eat excessively? Probably. About gestational diabetes, if a woman has gestational diabetes, they will sometime in their lifetime probably develop type 2 diabetes. But the idea is also to control the glucose throughout the lifetime. After the mother delivers, their gestational diabetes goes away. Their stress and the hormones change in their body. At that point, it may be several years before they become type 2. There's an important that any woman that delivers 6 to 8 weeks after delivery, they should be checked by their obstetrician or primary care provider to see if they have diabetes.
Pre-diabetes ya tigi ya eshin la kanegi jonake tras ant ayin in hilta holna akodi diabetes type 2 gi ejuk adanshi point inho e Jeunesse on ya le A1C ya nada tigi jo ashla doba sost dole hastrado asni jilkedo kwaye denes on pre-diabetes desla. Ako diabetes that's a dole nasko that's a shin le kan shed not inchino jo khwebe kholni dina hodnel ingi do hada hajilyanigi jiyanigi do banjaganigi jo nakego eskilnal nesto di ab khwan sekhe sto ende alla khodi da do da khajo da khashid ajo qad di bi deni khagi the khoshatnigi jo yot an hinst in akodi anil khoshi patan hinne ende okhot anat ako het aba hashya do jins ni jo khodo bin khati cha bin ya khodo ni khiche ya del do dan hi dos khita di no khodo nkha ho ako jiyanigi do panjagani nakhi go khit nadnish ye kha do lo ligi khodo le nas shin le khan hoid not inta arodi esta Eschido bekedo jole gestational diabetes desne age nil chon de huint in. Eschido bekedo jo nach honat in. Bekedo le hastrado sabi 6 to 8 weeks they can jo a hunel it's just chito be kedo a yan jita ado na hot nel e ade e be ahazin a shin la kanda a point inigi oko e benya khodo yan di ta ado di zel en la chidi e ado benand nel into benya oko e ayayal ke
akadide ashin la kan atas angi khukwi ako jo ad kui da shimbe ai shan hat isla ha tiro slato halait ela jensen da lan setze kes go ko ngai landa atle kon la kon chr da kon da has tra akko la bikech ga ka da e na vijdel kietide ashin le kan al kitkila khana al kitcha shan embeje noda jokat o e ade khanes kha go johat o do be ehosen ade akko adon da ani dide ashla doba an sust litchi na halengi do hast khada ba an tin litchi kana al kit go jokat o e ikhui ahagit e do le lakho akko kwat e akhwejet e got e ya no na ya dal tkila ani da na dirigi ado ba kujin zene aje khwela khol jij go jokat o e da tsiz do khosel se khalait o dide شالشن هالله داشت سو كده خليت أو هجاب ثلاثين إشتيلشن زاشين أي هجاب نجد الكل هذا عند بناتش أي دي ده نانتينجي أي يا هج كدال نيل أكو دي كدا أشين لكان أنت إنج بندان نشجي هذا عند كجا أي يا جيان خيات هجي أي nutritionist جهت أو ده e ti di kinayata e ti o iyago jokat o e nzago e to het ahadan hado etan nast jokat o be beina antjengi jo eben yakwan khail te dischen shik e ade akokot ni labade shalto labach hade se kha khalait o e bech hanna nason jo e na idal kid ade di texting be 928-871-4487 kuja ya hitlishan khodol nila ko ede kut ela shik e ha.
Thank you, Roy. Again, like Roy said, if you have any questions regarding diabetes management, you can text those questions to 928-871-4487. We just talked, Don, you mentioned like just proper diabetes management involves, nutrition, eating, exercise, and medication. And unmanaged diabetes, it comes from a sedentary life, meaning that your physical activity is very limited, or the majority of your daily life you're sitting down, basically. And nutrition, what are you eating? The other thing we haven't touched much about that I want to talk a little about is medication. Buki, how does medication play a role in diabetes management?
So medication helps to keep the blood glucose levels under control. One of the things that was mentioned earlier is the body is working to help manage the blood sugar or blood glucose. And when you're diabetic, sometimes if you're type 2, you're not making enough insulin to help manage the blood sugar. Or if you're type 1, you're not making any insulin at all. Or again, if you're type 2, you have resistance. So insulin is not able to take sugar to the areas that it is needed. So medication comes in to help with managing the blood glucose. It works in different areas depending on what medication you're taking to manage that blood sugar.
أكدي كان عيدك كدي خلايت أو دي أزاي خانة نلكلا هيت أو تسيسي كأنا لغة إلها إبن يا أزاي خاطر نلشهد أو شين عيدك كده كا أكو أي سيجي أيدي ده هتسيس بيجا أي أشين لكان هتلت بتخاكو هذا عند دي ده هلوك أهل يهجي جو أي هذا يلنيجي ya insulin ilna ko ako de hatto betkhazlendi hats oz betribio ako ada ya so de hats easy kenado hats easy betska ako dadel khalna ya ana yil iho kunna hats easy also ko to anna ko de insulin ye abo oko جهت أو أيدي هالتلبية أو يوشين لكن نا نشوا كيشينك أهوي له إبنينا أيدي الزيجي هكأنا لونا أيدي ده هتسيس لي بين جلزلدو بين جغادو بين تزكيس كقاء هتسيس بطل صلنا جو أي قاء أيدي الزيجي أي تادل خل أنا يلينا هلون كت أو إنجنة هتسيس بتخاشك يج أكو أيدا هديلت أيتا يجو أدون تهشت أيسن نأكو day yakut banahajol nako.
Thank you, Roy. We have one question saying, I was recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I was prescribed metformin. Now it's being recalled. So what is the next medicine I need to take? And before I hand over the book, I just want to preface that everybody's different, and your management of diabetes is going to look different from each other. So we're trying to speak in very general terms, but we would recommend that you actually see your provider for a specific strategic plan for managing your diabetes. So I just want to throw that out there, saying everybody's different, and we want you to first talk with your provider.
So there's a big concern now because of recalls with metformin. Not all metformin has been affected. The main metformin that's been affected is the extended release. There's a substance in some manufacturers that was found in it that's called NMBA. It is found in certain items. In small amounts, it doesn't do much damage. In large amounts, it can cause damage. It's carcinogenic. We are telling patients currently, if you are taking metformin, make sure to contact your provider or the pharmacy before making any changes. The metformin that we currently have in the pharmacy, we are monitoring it, and so far our stock has not been affected. I want to stress that the metformin immediate release so far also has not been affected. It's the extended release. It's very important when you're diabetic not to stop taking your medication without talking to a provider or to pharmacy. We don't want your blood glucose to go out of control because you have stopped taking your medication without direction from your provider. If you do have specific questions about your particular medication that you are taking, feel free to call us at the pharmacy. But as of now, the recalled metformin is mainly the extended release. If you're taking the immediate release, that one has not been recalled. It's the extended release, and it's only certain manufacturers, not all manufacturers. So not all products were affected. So please continue to take your medication, and if you have concerns, call the pharmacy or your provider.
Akadi adela naidel kedi ashinlikan entini beshel chhot ko entedi is ka na ni metformin wal ya shay nela jo ya bahastiedo ado chunal en kato bakha eliado yahanda jak hot o shin ya akoshek ala hi chuins indo le jot o jot ziko joko kado yadi de as a na nichibana nishiyosen buki wilya no ya di hajoban sok case na di as a extended release wilya ta hajo go behiten teko alla jilnan de shin le alla jina tachon to khata adigi ko o de ajigi to aliagi kot ba chahot ajene ko akadi kojen he di tsahot so ze al endo ne ni higi e do kut e da et a just na tot a ko e hat is betrasche kije ko e di ge da bohtit e da a ko nana al at o da lia la sto sa shin aad mmca wal dia e betragi e shin e yasa la da betrato sa e a chin ya da betra e be a da ta so ko da be hazanda khaydi shin e ya igesa anta has angi go kodi as a amna nihido bana ijdel ki ada on da di as a ahil en banjet ta hagi da bana bijdel ki di ka as a nashna hagi ka khalait ada on da e hajo khulch da ala kon da e ya hajo ban se ke so da la kon da on na che ko da shlil to kada da le ai a kha o na la go dan kilna khala dini hits is ya as a chayos enigi engine gon kha nihitel kada ashing kan betrashi kijigi jo hast ayos sendo to betan hagi gisben ya ko ba hast ke got naso za nastes kedo ye go za go jo di ye go ata huidos as got adon da di de hat isi chahna pa hagin de jo di gin ye go shit hadat I got ko ebeni na go elsa hajo ben idol kid I gesen le pharmacy as a na ni hide ko egen dal nishigi jo hajo khul khodol ne edo taida as a ahil in banjet ta hagi de to hajo ti takhot ton ni ko ebik anda ya hajo ban sana ze kesto le de kot oba konossen akot ado on nacho no nacho kholle la go di ze ge I guess a chunal into dan khayat ehgit ajot o ba hajozi.
Thank you, Roy. We have another question, Bookie. It says medication prescribed for diabetes. Please explain the side effects. The causes. This one text asks if it causes damage to your organs.
So, most medications may have some kind of side effect. Usually when you get your medicine, you should ask, if you're not told, how this medication may affect you or what side effects to expect. I'll touch on maybe some of the most common diabetes medications and the most common side effects for those. So for example, a lot of type 2 diabetics will be on metformin. That's a standard medication for type 2. Metformin usually will cause stomach upset if not taken with food, and also when you initially start it. So usually we want to start at a low dose and gradually increase your dose so that you can tolerate it a little bit better. Sometimes when you're started on a high dose, you may feel those side effects more. So if you're having stomach upset, diarrhea, things like that, that's usually associated with metformin, and that can be helped by talking to your doctor to see if maybe you can reduce and then titrate back up or increase back up or go to a lower dosage. And also there are different types of metformin that we kind of just talked about. The extended release is less likely to cause that stomach upset and diarrhea or stomach issues. So that's with metformin. Another new popular diabetes medication is Trulicity or Victoza. That can also have those types of side effects, the stomach upset and the diarrhea. And that usually happens when the medication is first started. And as you continue to use it, those side effects become better and more tolerable and should go away. But if you continue to have issues or cannot tolerate the side effects, you should speak to your doctor to see what else can be done instead of just stopping your medication.
Akudi kado naide kidigi edi ashin likan ain't inga bicha azay cho enigi eshe yakhit ego atahas ado hashit ya o hats isa yo sengish la ido lil johot na ide kidako akoko dide buki ya pharmacist and jo inat ahna zigo ne di koje ashin likan ain't inga ben ya azay na nihigi de kwishin at akonde igesa di type 2 diabetes johot paint enigi AD Metformin wal yahagi kisko bachunil enko ako khalet ya hats is ido lil di ze enjelna jallat abat hallanla khaila bat joko no AD kisko gi AD de at sahadanni ya ahat yed not in tatsahanas gaido hat sahadanni hat ya akonde behos in tot all says they nilko ya ashin da betskego lia ya hago betskegin halo el sakhe nel shina hat endlich guess annas na betskegin sind la no shin khanas kald nit hat hat is eigentlich ne ko di engina chetsa il doch ne ko nana sa belchuna huit chunana enge ko extended release yeah jo ADK do gesiye go bat halnoda ne nana di la need chunana be khaholji trilicity with yego dot akut ene at sahanas kaido at sahadani di dat egi ya bestand egit ene ko akon de khadashi hat iskin dito do ba kojun zandasle akon de akhit hago da khosso ado enda da ayaba yahjol de kadize nashna halabets ado kunst agenza joko ya as a ahil en banjet da hagi bich dot se double khojdolne ado enda ya khayan se do kostoshi di gishan di hagi shan noshi la nana as a bit ajit da en halen gishin ye kha do do jot ego ya benich hajo zi kundet yi yajani zido nachin desh asen chko bahat zedla jensen ki dot dana khala de hats is ashina kan yena al kidigi ye go bat halot ado ba hayago ako de ko hanna jo zi.
Thank you, Roy. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Board Radio Forum. We're discussing diabetes management, particularly diabetes management now that we're in a pandemic, because it's Diabetes Awareness Month, November, and we just had a question talking about medication, if it caused any sort of side effects. And one thing I want to point out that we pointed out a little bit earlier is that everybody's different. Every person who has diabetes, their management is going to look a little bit different based upon a number of factors. And one thing that Bookie brought up was that if a medication is not working for you, talk to your provider. One thing that we want to explain for diabetes management is proper diabetes management allows you to live a fulfilling, happy life. That diabetes does not have to be shackles on you or anything like that. And so part of that is if a medication is giving you some weird things with your body, talk to your provider and see if that can be adjusted. You have anything else to add, Buki?
I wanted to touch on the organ, that it causes more damage to the organs. Medications are usually cleared by certain organs, so they may be cleared by your kidneys, they may be cleared by your liver. So, for example, if you have kidney problems, or maybe let's say you are on dialysis, you shouldn't take certain diabetes medication such as metformin because your kidneys may not be able to clear it as much. So that is something you should also talk to with your doctor about. If you have impairment of certain organs, then your dose may need to be reduced, or you should not be on certain medications based on if you have damage to certain organs.
Ako yat ito na iya kodo kajenda so gezgidi kodo KTNN ado ay nikitla ko ilna ko ado di kwa nakhail tegi kodo nikitla nagi di de ashin lekhan ein ingo khit o ya be ta khayado ado undata di zelgi to nilchits osabiye diabetes awareness matwelge go johot o be ba khwin zendo le to be ta thi hat engi jo kha ya ashan na de je bana ho ta ko adon da di de as a she khait o hatsan le yent la ay hat dalt hat di ze chojol ingo jo ko do as a na ni do na nishigi jo no di de aita ya as a ahil en kwa as a had khayni lo di de hat ist hat hegi khaya kun zandol le ko di de you had dalt hegi do you had dalt hegi belbehas no hat o as a about the legin de got o yan sekes ko ya khaydon nishna ko akon de de aita an le hat chash ajuda ba ta has ango hatsan le la khaydi shin ba ta has ango jo kat o da ya yetla khok khas ko at do le to ko dit hegi hajo khaba quintana yat ko eshibini nan le as a ahil en banjata ko hajo ta hajlne di inst do dit o adon da hanal sos le nan latana na den hegi da at khajta adon da ze na han hegi do ze jel tehgi as adat hegi da injit jeko jo hat o hajo khaban sa kesto hajo banachaka hanya do le akondit onachinjito algi yuwedan kilneit gese kodo bil da hazen gijo ya hajo di yuwedo di kholnen gi be bahaz adon da heka do lwalgi
Thank you, Roy. So we have a question coming in. It says, Thanksgiving and holiday eating is coming up. How do we make sure to not eat a lot? My family usually has a lot of food at dinners. I just want to, before we dive into this, saying, first of all, with COVID-19 and we are in a pandemic, that our Thanksgiving should be limited to only those that we are currently living with within our household. So hopefully, this question, Roy just mentioned more to eat, but hopefully it's not more to eat, but it's more adjusting your household. So I'm going to hand it over to Danae, and she can provide more information.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dallas. My name is Danae again. I am the outpatient registered dietitian. And what I hear from a lot of people is that they struggle a lot with holidays. And especially this year with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's harder. And a lot of my patients now, they're telling me, Danae, it's hard for me to not eat. I have food in my cupboard all the time. I can't go anywhere. I don't feel like I can go outside because I'm scared. So all I do is eat. So one of the things that we're finding is that just stress by itself can actually make our sugars go up, make our blood sugars go up. If we're stressed about the pandemic, if we're stressed, about family issues, about, personal things, if your kids are getting into trouble or you're having a hard time managing them while they're on online school, that all leads to stress. And sometimes that stress can develop into something we call emotional eating. And so sometimes, a lot of people tell me that they're stressed, so they're going to go have ice cream. They're going to eat a bunch of crackers. They're going to go eat a bunch of popcorn. And so recognizing that emotional connection with food is very much tied to this COVID pandemic. And so it's really important to recognize that first. The next thing I wanted to say is also just have some forgiveness for yourself. You don't have to worry about things that are out of your control. And right now is, for a lot of people, it's really hard to make these changes, to make these healthy changes. So do what you can, especially during the holidays. I know for us Navajos, we're very food related. You know, we love you, we love auntie, we love uncle, we love our nephews, our nieces, our kids. We want them to eat. So it's very much a part of our culture. So I don't think we should feel ashamed for eating those foods that we enjoy, like pumpkin pie and turkey. So, and fry bread, and tortillas, and yeast bread, and tamales. And, you know, my auntie makes a really good pozole. I want to eat that because my auntie made it and I know she loves us. So we should really have some forgiveness for ourselves, you know. And I'll let Roy translate and I'll keep going.
Akadi kwad kuja nahal jisho akenda ilta Thanksgiving tkhajida galto keshmish yajada ilnido adon the keshmish kada di kenda ilta hagi ishe ya ayo benesh tlinle aja nahal jisho do chinyando beta azintle akasho ikhait o beta akwi liando le chot o ya naidekit akokot ni kat o kado chiyan cho inge nutritionist di chiyan khayat eto cho ingi jo kado yego ba jil khadi kado bahajo zigi ado ze ahin endo biyadon jil nashedid ne akhit o shi ya aze ahin enakonde yelnal nashko ko ako ajanshi nabat el kishto akhit ahadat kidet ihata kwa chiyan bayat eto le libash and left no epenan nish aje ko yoba al tragit ako kadiko janahal jishko lago in sakes to ado undata dikwa ako nelibena chen nada ado unda alaban hinne lein hinan nishto nihitsan kutzago alabekani yilihada be kedni tlingo adon khalchinda do da altra kont kuich konde be dohjon bet nil nada ya kadet kuich an hinanit an hinanot hinha no jadidat ahgida adon data ayon si il kesto adon da satashin be ke chehnaj data akadidat ahgida be bi khwelna haljish ko jo ko chiyan ayo chojol inla ado hat island ajiyana ande o yugo nchetin to khan ajiyana banje gale adi de hat hansike sigi benina go kut in jot o ahilne emotional eating akonde ado yo be ya khait odaban so kese an he not egedo and so kes gedo so zinge ataji na ba adon da khan zin ahat o kadiko jna huil jisha chiyan to khayui don khayat eta ningi endal in hakodi a hil da tajni yin et khanji do ado di de na yezata dal into adon the tamales do that nilraj ado the bebets the adon the tro the question at is a kantle konde ado khait oban so case asla agenda khashinel da chol ingo eton khat hada khal bet khaya hot eto adon the yat ehodal khanij link da johodat hagi khishin anjuna bahil indo khashin jun go kho il ingo da khako satabat sanchol ihada bet khaya na hot le jotishi edat hagi erben ado yobek in sa da o jo cho enge bet not zin hot o de ya jotzi.
What I really want to say is that honestly, when it comes to the holidays, there are no good or bad foods. Enjoy foods, all types of foods in moderation. So, you know, Christmas and Thanksgiving, they're just 1 days, really. It's just 2 days out of the whole year. So what matters more is the rest of those days. So Christmas, go ahead and have the turkey, have a little pumpkin pie in moderation. Those are all fine. Just think about what's happening the rest of those 363 days, because it's more about a healthy eating pattern, and it's not just one meal that's going to make or break you. So that's very important to remember. And when you're going to be eating at the holidays, just, treat it like any other day. Treat it like, just make sure you're taking your medications. Test your fasting blood sugar in the morning. If you're preparing food, or if you have if you're going to bring food, maybe not this year, but next year, bring a healthy dish so you know that there's something healthy for you. So, in reality, it's just, they're just 2 days. And really, we need to be looking at, what are you eating the rest of the year? And just, like I said, have that forgiveness for yourself, because it's all about the balance and the moderation. So there aren't really any good or bad foods. It's just, what does your healthy eating pattern, or what does your eating pattern tell about you?
Akadikwa ata khayagan le ashin le kan khain ingo dito ta kholian ko no ayo bajdan ti chian hashin dat agi chujol ingo akoko adigi a ya a khana halon kot o a ekiji na do le kot asa ajje na kijenda di hinda il tagi a chian al khas a khon de holongo ado khait oda bansok keset o be benot lindo be ohnet libenige ado be khayahot epen ye chujdos in asa ajna kijenda ado bikedo ya an reida ta khujliana git o chian khayat egi chujos indo adon da ashat eg ona ni chabi ganalen gashi hato baj nestena ado bethanna hato jisto kato ta khujliana do le chot o ya bahajotzi kato ahada aslahadena kidada kato akhujin zanido ishi with Kanagida, the Hayat 8 and the 8 at kun shag on the chujos in Jot o Ebahajot, the Adon, the Chian, the Anjil, Ingita Bohajil, Ahagi, I said, Ispayat Ahagita, 8 Ahagita, Hashtagil, in Don Chakakata, Jot o do Aquade Kajdo, the 8 Nakwabit Kiji Kagi, do hate o the ya. Abedo Lishon Junguch Yanyat Egi Hachidos in Chot Odeya, Hajo Beta and so Keso Beta, Hosliando, Adon the other Bekensa, Tahati, O Yuchiyanda, Ahal Inko, the Ahinda il Tahagona, Alabata Hodigan Gonda, Ahoda Eya, Satobe Ira Noson, Nihayahot,
Thank you, Roy. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Board Radio Forum, and we are discussing diabetes management during COVID-19 because it's November, and with November comes Diabetes Awareness Month, and we are currently taking questions, text in from our listeners. If you have a question, feel free to text your questions to 928-871-4487. So we have one question. It's kind of a double question. Is one, how often should I see a doctor for an eye appointment, dental appointment, or provider appointment to monitor for complications associated with diabetes? The second part to this question is, how much physical activity should I complete to reduce my risk of diabetes? I'm going to give this over to Don and Emmy, but I also want to see you guys answer this. What does this look like in the midst of a pandemic? For physical activity, gyms are closed. What does that look like for getting health access, with telemedicine, things like that?
Well, this is Don, and I'll take on the physical activity. What do? I talked to an elder this past week. She has been in her house since April. She has not gotten out. What can you do in your house that's physical? You can clean the house, but how long does that take? And if you keep it up, well, you don't have to clean it tomorrow. So the minimum we're looking at is maybe getting 30 minutes of brisk walking in a day per day. Some people can't walk 30 minutes. Maybe it's building up from 10 to 15, 20, 30. Please do it in a safe area. We've got dogs running around. We've got other things that are even the gravel may not be good for people to walk on. Find a safe place. It might be in your home. Maybe it's just walking in place in your home, up and down, swinging your arms. I ask grandmas that are taking care of their kids, their grandkids, why don't you dance with them? Maybe traditional dance in the house and teach them that. And they get up and moving. So if you can get 30 minutes, maybe 45, and building up to that, that exercise gets rid of belly fat and the muscles we have in our body. The insulin is taken up so that the glucose can go into the muscle cells with that physical activity. Very important for control of glucose.
This is Emma. I will be answering the second question. How should I see the doctor for how often should I see a doctor for a variety of appointments? And that will refer to the diabetes standards of care. Annually, we want people to be seen or to see an eye doctor, to get your foot exam, your dental, and that also includes your immunizations, and then also your A1C. And A1C really determines your management of your diabetes. So it could be every 3 months, it could be every 6 months, and that's something that will be determined with your care plan with your provider when it comes to the A1C. And then there's a lot of other recommendations. That is, if you are having any mental health issues, you could also get a referral. And there's also medical nutrition therapy, nutrition counseling at TMC, and then diabetes education. So there's a whole lot of factors that play into making sure you are getting your annual exams, your annual visits. And a lot of that, we have to also make sure the labs that we need in order to help manage your diabetes, such as your lipid panels, which is looking at your cholesterols, your bad and good fats. So it's good to talk with your provider and also your support system, which is the diabetes program and MNT and pharmacy. So there's a lot of us out there, and if you feel that you're not getting through to your providers, there's a lot of other support systems, and we want to remind you that. And just keep in mind the pandemic is going on, and it has impacted the way that we process and filter who we see. So that's why we want you to call us and let us know what's going on, and that's why we're here. Just remember, that's what I wanted to stress.
Naidekid the Ashintlikan Khatas Adon the Quadeya Behazen go ya as a Aitlin Banjatato Zeta Jeltelko Hashito aid Yatide as a Hash as a in Banjatato Hash Hanahanan in Hawati that Agida Joto ya Naidekid Adon the Dequa Atrahadel Zegish and Ehan Zacha Eshekit جهت أودا نايدي كده كدي دان إل سخات زي دي لأن لي مثلا لام إيه شانية بتلقيت لها سنة دي ده نبت أن الإنكو أكون دي تكوزن سانا سيجا تهجيبني نا تو خاغ مدى ناشادة أول نات أي ستة جهت أو أي تاهل نايا أكوكو أي دي كونده أخيت أهودا أتخاذ الزيبانا نا نيات أي تاليل بدش نومج أهاس زيج نو جوكو دي ده أي يات أو آخوغن بنادوت أول ناتا أي يا أو كن زهج بخال جشتو شي كيك وانا ناس كجول ليشن لقيت لو كنا جدها ثلاثة أخنا ثلاثة كنا يزنادا هالجنجدا السبع جنتي أدون دمونات لك دنا كده موجد أشلاتا تهالجنج أدونا تين تهالجن تختين تهالجنج جد تختين تهالجنج أيجي سبن ياجد إينو لك أي أدو أوه جوجنا تهندت تان لي بناتش هستاشتول ليلكي جو ايديجي اي بكايل كدي هجيجي اي اصلا هجيت تختين ده هالجنجة اي كت جنكو اشين لكانجي هت استخاشك جو انا يل هنا ايديجي كو اهت ده اي يا ادون دان سو كده هلون الچن ده ايدي ان لي نخجدي اهجدو دي دات اهجي دات اجش نجنو تهجشي ده بالبانان خيغو داشين أخيت أهو بيتا أخلياني بانسن كيس أدو دي كجا بهنا جو زيغو أزيل إن بنا تهجيت بهزن غو إيه يا الكيس نلقي خلا أكو كو إيه نها خاكو جو إيه دي ده هكي إيه آجي إيه خنان الإنتو ليل إيه آجي بنا نشكي نانا أدون دا دي هوا جيدات أهجي جو إيه أن نخبك إيه يا خبانا انتخاطو الليل نانا دي ده أتصيني توتا دي ده تهجيت أن نخبك أهي خانا أتستو الليل هذا دي شين لك خانا الكريجي ده دي تهجي اي نا الكريجي بالنحجة اي زيل ان اي أخدو النيل تخاط موغنا اي نا نادنش تخاط خدو النيل هذا آيات اي نهالن قشي هستخان مو هستخان دي زجية تخان دي زده هستخان دي زجية هتو اي خانها آكو اي خانان تخاطو ليل شو هت آكو نانا دي ده بتصادو ده آخيت اهو ده نساها كيسيجي جو اي ديجي ده اي يهت صامج نحوي ناغو آخا ده خسن دو باهن هذا باهن انشتن تلك ده جو هتات اهجي ده اي التو بيخانا وكي خلا ادون دا ديج ايان شو إنج خنن تلاقو اكو اي يا هجو بي نهت نوت كيلي اي nutritionist هكا دو لوستو هكا نالو انجنو بيكيش دو تين جودا تهكي تكويشين كنا غيدا اشون خانا هالدندك ادي دي كأنكتنا هالجيشي بنينا يا Thank
you, Roy. And just to kind of touch on that, just to give some background on our facility, as far as access to care, and part of trying to see part of is identifying diabetes early is actually getting in to see a provider and getting these things set up. And as a facility, we are in the process of slowly opening up, and so each clinic has they have identified certain percentages of when they will be allowing patients coming in. And I believe right now we are taking that top immediate individuals who need immediate care, and so the best thing for you to do is to call the clinic. You can call dental clinic or pharmacy if you need your pharmacy refills. And if you're not in the Fort Defiance service unit, I encourage you to call your local service provider. If you need information, please visit the Navajo Department of Health. They have great information on where you can get the nearest care. So,
أكدي قال أيسا أنن أنا هلا ya has ningi goshin kat adida o yahdo gas ze al yahdo gas to ado kashnol in chno da jo ya banal den akon de string de do akot oyan do be has ada akon de jo go ya ajo na de jdi de na hal ne do as al injina ta da kat andal neko bich hol je shako bik hal ke khona goshin kha el neto le lako akon de besh behne agi de da tiesko ya chunos ido le ado ajashin do ka koje lana ta tsaho tsojende dida anol tskon kide akha shin as ahal inge na tahagi aj chunos ido bich khol na do besnal nish di tskogo di kut ego kodo de nishgit kut o ngeje da inish chinli do ado on the look an thiel do look at estin ado na anjoj da di shin tsko ekut o da inish sto ko ako ado obe osn hedot ado on hitliko hot hadi nits is ya ba hosnya chun nihje non nihje da chiltkia.
I think going back to the question as far as how much physical activity do I need, again, it varies from person to person. One thing that we want to say is diabetes management looks very different for each person. That's why you have a team. Your body functions differently. It processes things differently. And so we encourage you to get yourself a team that involves diabetes management or diabetes education, pharmacy, and nutrition as well. One of the things that has been pretty common in the past is these runs on our communities, JMIs, but unfortunately being in a pandemic, those have not been going on as much, and I know a lot of people look forward to that. One thing that we're doing as a hospital is called our virtual challenge. If you need an incentive to kind of get out and move, we are encouraging people to move at least 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week during the month of November. You can sign up for this virtual challenge through our Facebook. You can look in our Facebook feed and you'll see a Google Form sign-up sheet, and you log the days that you do these 30 minutes of activity. Also, throughout the month of November, we'll be giving out these code words at certain radio forums. Like tonight, I'm going to give out this code word at 7:50, and then these code words will also be will be in the Gallup Independent newspaper, I think this weekend and next weekend. If you collect all the code words, log them into your sign-up sheet, I think you get a prize of some sort, a sweater. And all that information is on the sign-up sheet. So visit our Facebook page, sign up, get out there and move. And if you need more resources, YouTube's full of home workouts as well.
Okay, dika ahol jiske as hal ingona taha tlahodat zado adon kha khayanan de kutsa kun gaida ya ba kun sengo JMI just move it di that hagida other kushin tlat on det jade jak hado ishi bet khatel zegi jot o ya khapan dal te hinde di string de yonan tlaselin ko yoga no do ado astach na khay jota hagi benina ko ta ko benina go kodo te ya sahot sahos ando ya virtual challenge with yego j jot o ya khalia ko to tackle diabetes akoko de ya ankit no ben ya atahadat osnil di sahot of Facebook ajidnal ilo de to tackle diabetes bakago hadol kilo kai matahajil haj shindo ada kwigo shina idekit ako da no de khatin da hal jinja kut o ala atrahadel zek ako ginal ito le ya ashla jingo asla da mo biga hashin kut o zatibi ya adon da de be o pingi do khodon do le loi do pingi ko de di sus do ashla ta ko ol kil ko lan kil chdo al adon da de تزبنا الصوص زي نانجوجنا قالت من دependent جو ايدا دي يزلي بيجي اي كنا دا بقاء دو ليشنا كديد دا نجيز لا دو هيجين نلدو يهنجو نلقو أهد أو اي دي اي ناتس اونليج دو سبين جهد أو دو اي يا نخالي على كو ايشين زاد صوت تهده اي يا أخيت أهدا يا اي نادو سلوة دو تهنا تشا دو ايشي بانا خاشين هد أو تختين ده الجنجنات إيها بيدا خليان جيبوه دوس بن يشين هد أو نخاليا.
Thank you, Roy. So we have another question. Let me pull this up. So this question comes in and it says, what if you ran out of medications like Metformin? Can you still use the ones you have that was prescribed to you 1 year ago? If you requested for refills, it takes a couple days to go through the mail. So I'm going to hand this over one to Buki. And I mean, Buki, this is something that is pretty, common, and I think more common now with the pandemic is, the turnaround time. You guys have been working hard, but there's a turnaround time with refills. So if you can kind of answer this question, but also kind of go through the process of getting, medication refills.
Sure. So I would recommend trying to plan ahead if you can. For most medications, including usually your chronic meds, the pharmacy can refill it up to 7 days prior to when it is due. So if you try to think, let's say I filled my medication November 1st, let me call pharmacy November 23rd to get that medication ready for me so that I'm not waiting until I only have 1 pill left or no pills left to fill the medication. And that way, it gives us a little more time to get the medication ready for you. I think right now we're going with 24 to 48 hours to get the meds ready. But we're also advising for people to call before they come in just to make sure the medication is ready. Sometimes we get phone calls that say, fill all my meds or fill my med, and we're not too sure what you're asking for. So if you can also be specific when you call for your medication refill to let us know exactly what you need, and that way we can better prepare. If you do find that, oh no, I'm down to 1 pill or no pills left, I would say call and speak to someone and let them know what the situation is, that you're running out or you're close to running out and you need your medication as soon as possible. We don't recommend taking medications past their expiration date. Usually on your bottle, there should be an expiration date for when you should not use your medication anymore. If you're uncertain or it's too small or you can't find it, maybe get somebody else to look at the bottle for you to see if they can see it on there. Usually we don't, most medications that we will dispense to you will be good for a year or less. So it's very important to check your bottle. It may be a year, it may be less than a year, it may be a couple months, but we don't recommend taking it past the expiration date. Try to get the medication filled as soon as possible and start taking from the new batch. We actually recommend getting rid of medications after they're expired and try to, again, get it filled, as early as possible. With the chronic meds, most of the chronic meds, you can call in 7 days before you're going to run out, and we'll try to get it ready for you within 24 to 48 hours. But again, emphasis on calling before you come in just to make sure that medication is ready for you.
Dina dikidigi ya aze hatsa stirasha akona gaida kohot era shay nela sa aitzi kodash ish achos chujos yon abo hanetza joto na dekit akoko dikodo nata hajo zigo jino ya aise abasi tie kot hegi nagaida beta is angi ado chunal energy o ya bena ni tien benina hajo adelanja and sa kesigi beta khwlia shan the quishin zito le lako ako bansa the case of these are the more that it's the bigger height the get ako kad baka ashleho johot o and so case bohol ato bad enough then johnny hijine ko akoko at the larger hojil ko kodida lay sus jeans ziko beto ali or sus jeans ziko di hats as a khana nelebich hol jesha ebe has anjine ko akoko laida no it's the kwa kwaje igil khan and the na nado na sakonde di da khan ze khana neligi jo chronic isne could on the quishin end of could order na nado le could no all ya chronic did all the khana nesige janshi other base khan the it's a jeans ziko I could over kajol now khado nesjune ko could I guess ya banhanki khange ado tin khodosne ako edit the na tin hel kedo Justina as a B Hale Kida Quaha, she ain't he butts in the lake. Joto a Bahajo Ziko.
Thank you, Roy. So we are coming down to just about over 10 minutes left in our forum. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Fort Defiance Indian Hospital Board live radio forum, and we are discussing diabetes management during a pandemic. It's November, which means that it's Diabetes Awareness Month. I'm here with a panel from pharmacy, nutrition therapy, and diabetes education. I'm also going to give out the code word for the virtual challenge. The code word for the virtual challenge, if you're participating, is physical exercise. And I'll be repeating that the rest of the hour until we're done. But the code word is physical exercise if you're participating in the virtual challenge.
Hakoshin kadi kadot ya kwabayest ke virtual challenge will yahan kwa sad be o bihingi kadon tlan kilstot al jo ya physical exercise sad gada hashta na ato le ya na nelo edit lato ade bakado physical exercise ako shin ya be o bihingi da ko yeah.
So we're going to answer our last question of the evening. The question is, when does one be referred to see a kidney specialist? I'm going to let Emma answer this question, and as you answer this question, also just like how does somebody get referred during a pandemic?
Hi again, this is Emma. Kidney specialists are usually called nephrologists or nephrology department. And I would like to really stress, when you go see your provider, you get your labs done, everyone should know the number. Numbers are very important. So when it comes to kidneys, a person who is beginning to show a breakdown of their kidneys, meaning they're not functioning at an optimal level, a good level, is under 60. Okay, and one of the reasons why I ask is because most patients that I see will have a kidney function test done, and that test is called GFR, and it's called globular filtration rate. People will sometimes have their numbers at 70, 62, and yes, you're above 60, but knowing this number is going to help you, and it's going to guide you to change your lifestyle if that's something that you haven't done. And that goes back to managing your blood sugars. The more unmanaged, the more your sugars are high, the more damage that's being done to your body. And that means your nerves, your capillaries, all the little vessels. Those are the first ones that are going to, go through the change, and that's the damages. We don't want that to happen, and that's why we're here to help you to understand that high blood sugar sometimes can be high for so long and you can't feel it, but we don't want you to come in until you feel it. We want you to take care of yourself, get seen by your provider, and if you do have diabetes, do your monitoring, your exercise, your healthy eating, and healthy coping. All those factors play a huge, it's a huge change, and it's a new lifestyle, but for you to be healthy, and that's why we're here to help you. But for when it comes to kidneys, under 60 is when you will be referred. And I really stress that you take the time to ask about the numbers. And maybe your provider might not have a lot of time, and that's when, diabetes education's here, medical nutrition therapy is here. We all work together, and someone will be available to help you and guide you.
Ako ka na ide kid na addition kid na ide kid ole. A chance kajala e kha a chance kajan del kha gila kha e bitch dina ko ni di de a shintle kan fein on jo to ina ide kid. Aka ka donat an hajo zigo e ya di de le hatel na ko hatel in ko e di ta tsko ta bakha le di kujebe a hayangi ben ya hatel khal in ko AGFR bakha le jo to e ba hajo zigo Haskantin do yago bakha go DGFR gi jokat o AD hachansk ajigi jo ay hatsa kwan ni to le to e ya halna to le jujne kabani nago ado aje khal jishat ado kujin hat ado khulkhat o khulkho ah e ata khajo ata khujil yado le tide a kwije ajingan gi to njoka gi to ta khaya gi to tan sa ke so kha igi tradition ya beta khujliya to hats ismata hoistos altenle hats oz khwinas le hats isbiget altsho hats atkit large da neti tilpin das lingi da adonda ahat o akut go do de gana bet khaljishko jo kat o yego ebiket ko hojon ni to le beninat ado yego neha beta konotsendo ado di azen khana nesto dit o yado dit o ta kholiano dit o baden den bohol a khojuko ashini nan ado ashini ya bich hoye inde akonde hajo di konde adot agon konken schnado adot ahona shadow le adot ahote na ashtin to le din hit so de zengi jo ahot oben so kes ko di ata kholian de khot do le do ta kholian go di de azet khado kheto le chot ek ahot ni jo zi ko benina aze ahil ene ban pana ta ko di ni hit le ya go da DGFR gi jo even night kedo hajo be shil kholna Nana Lata ya at Skinland, Linland, Kojo Eben Ye Kona Si Tanjanidi diabetes educator, nutritionist need Lenigi, Konda Nature Chuinot, Qua ya Hajob and Kilhodil, Nata Hajob and Kid Neat Hilo, in Hahan needs an Ibn Kot Jot o Enata Hajotzi.
Thank you, Roy. And this brings us to the end of our forum. We have about 5 minutes left. If you're participating in the virtual challenge, the code word is physical exercise. Again, the code word is physical exercise. And just to wrap things up, I think just a few things we want to put out there is that diabetes management looks different for everyone. It affects people differently. And what we want individuals to take away from this is, one, just know your body. Notice what's wrong, what's different than what's not normal, and to reach out for help. Know what resources are available to you, and if you need more information on our facility or diabetes education, they actually have information up on our website. If you go to www.fdhb.org, you can see how to get in contact with them and any other sort of those resources. And the other thing is, part of this is figuring out what works for you. One thing we want to say is that diabetes should not be shackles. Diabetes management is to help you live a happy and fulfilled life with diabetes. And if a medication is not working for you, talk to your provider, and we can hopefully get that switched out. Like Danae said, don't feel guilty for partaking in those holiday dinners with your family. That we're in a pandemic, that is limited to those in your household. But it's really what do those other days throughout the year look like? We're looking for consistency, and diabetes management helps with that, especially during a pandemic. And with the restrictions and closures, we want to express that our facility is there for you, and we want to help you and try and get you in to see a provider or see diabetes education or get your medications as quickly as possible.
Agushin kya aday sanatsa kanzache hol jiji do ka hayu e kanit adi ashin lakan khain ido adon da sata e bikena haye do yad lanani zentlande kunde hajob ban se case go lo e ya ata khaya ge do adon da sta o taltit hegi adon da ishi bike nan la that hegi jo adigi ba kanitsen go e she ya hajo do le lo adon da shal chindo so keda hajo be ten da asti do le chen jo e ata khaya ata kokodo a had the nil kon khas kagi kodo Emmeline Thompson jo e diabetes educator aja large bahal nito be yadon dal nishigido e bich choino en so akhit ahoda naidekin ke halnado alan kit il ado a ishi ben yago e nan tkin zada tkesko e ya illengit ko be da halon ko dan do ilnal nishako danol adon da dida kodo niche kentan khani yagi be jawazonan tla oluwa bukola walia akinsaku aka o buki da badin eze na niche buki bena just kya to bejel ni e paki in de shi e da nzenda leto adon da the nay backs the con the ya aniche kat edon da kaje aze ahil and is a khanoitln dal nishti chinyan cho gedo so the yego ya il tragit di chinyan at ego cho any do hit ego it's is a kanal ge ko yego ya na khan tan zendo na kha tan zen ge beni na e kodo di kodo na bai dil to bich ze to kwa na kha has ado kwa e in hit cho in Johoto in Khan Sikis and Kitno the house. All
right, thank you, everybody. And just remember, stay safe out there, wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands, especially with the holidays coming up.
KTNN, Window Rock, Tohatchee, Round Rock.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. The nation remains on edge as tens of thousands of votes are still being counted, but no presidential winner is yet declared. Joe Biden picked up Wisconsin and Michigan today, where protesters for Donald Trump disrupted the vote count in Detroit, but were countered by pro-Biden demonstrators.
We're not going to let them stop until every single vote is counted.
The Trump campaign is challenging some of those results. More from our Ed Donahue.
The Trump campaign wants a recount in Wisconsin and is suing to stop the counting in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani says the problem is observer access.
20 or 30 feet away, never able to see the ballot itself.
Giuliani says he might file a national lawsuit.
Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf denies any impropriety.